Okay. We were in the lounge in the doctor's room between cases on Friday and watching the news on the TV. And the usual horror stories were there. North Carolina, problems in Spain, stabbings in Finland, a war in Syria, name it. And one of the comments that was made was, there's no true leadership anymore. And when you get to think about it, that's probably to some degree true. There aren't any great leaders in the world like there used to be, or have been in the past. And that also includes the church. The church is lacking real good leadership in many cases. In fact, there aren't even any good slogans out there that people can catch on to like they used to in the past. In fact, now there's a parody of the most common slogan of today. A cheese company put this out in their bulletin board: ban pre-shredded cheese. Make America great. G-R-A-T-E. That's the way it is. Many of the problems today goes because there are people who delve on the I situation. I can make America great. I can defend this country. I can do this. I can do that. And as a result, everybody gets into a situation of defensiveness and end up building up military power to an abnormal degree. I looked up some statistics. North Korea spends about 25 to 30% of its total gross domestic product on its military. Now, they have a small output, so that only ends up to about $5 to $6 billion a year. The U.S. spends 3.5% of its gross domestic product on the military, but that is over $700 billion per year. Saudi Arabia spends 10%. Canada spends 1%. Although North Korea is what you hear in the news, South Korea spends twice as much as North Korea on its military. The world is awash in weapons. But as a result of this, the stress and the problems that ensue are multiple. From 2010, statistics from the United Nations are these. In 2010, 302,093 murders took place in the world. 576,133 people committed suicide. 103,437 were killed in warfare, civil wars. 5 million were killed by pollution. 12 million were driven from their own country. And over 25 million were forced out of their homes. That's in 2010. See, a lot of the problem is that the leaders are for themselves and not for the world. It says in 2 Timothy, but know this, that in the last days grievous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, haughty, railers, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, implacable, slanderers, without self-control, fierce, no lovers of good, traitors, headstrong, puffed up, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. Does that sound familiar to some of the people who's in the headlines today? This sounds like something new, but it's really not. Because if you go back 2,500 years to another civilization that was at the time a superpower. Babylon, 2,500 years ago or so, was the main power on earth. And Nebuchadnezzar was the king of that country. He had developed his country by warfare, by conquering, and he was boastful. Chapter 4 of Daniel was pretty well written by King Nebuchadnezzar. It may be the only chapter in the Bible that's written by a foreign king or by a pagan king. And it's about a vision that he had. A vision of a tree, not the usual vision that people usually relate to Daniel, but a vision of a tree. A tree that was growing and then was cut down. And he had this dream. And the dream was sort of like this. The tree was strong, high. The site belonged to the end of the earth. The leaves were fair, and the fruit much. And it was food for all the beasts of the field that had shadow under it. But the tree then was cut down, and only the roots were left. So, you go down to verse 24 on that, and Daniel interprets the dream. It is thou, O king, that art grown and become strong, for thy greatness is grown and reaches into heaven, and thy dominion to the end of the earth. But then the king saw a watcher and a holy one coming down from heaven, saying, hew down the tree and destroy it, but leave the stump. This is the interpretation of that, O king, and it is the dream of the Most High, which has come upon my lord the king, that thou shalt be driven from men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and you shall be made to eat grass as oxen, and shall be wet with the dew of heaven. The prophecy was that King Nebuchadnezzar would become insane and become like an animal. And all this came upon the king. At the end of 12 months, he was walking in the royal palace of Babylon. And the king spoke and said, is this not great Babylon, which I have built for the royal dwelling place, by the might of my power, and for the glory of my majesty? Sound something familiar? And while the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed, and you shall be driven from men, and their dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and you shall be made to eat grass or oxen, and 7 times shall pass over you, until you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men. Nebuchadnezzar learned his lesson, because he started out this story at the very first of the chapter by these words. Nebuchadnezzar the king, unto all the peoples, nations, and languages that dwell on all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. It has seemed good unto me to show the signs and wonders of the Most High God, hath wrought toward me. How great are his signs, and how mighty are his wonders. And he ends it with these words. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, for all his works are truth, and his ways justice. And those that walk in pride, he is able to abase. Zechariah sort of puts it this way. In another prophecy, once I get this thing to work right. Thus says Jehovah of hosts to Zechariah, to the people, execute true judgment and show kindness and compassion, every man to his brother, and oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the sojourner, or the poor, and that none of you devise evil against his brother in your heart. But they refused to hearken and pulled away the shoulder and stopped their ears that they might not hear. This was done when Jerusalem was prosperous and in power. Yes, they made their hearts as an adamant stone, lest they should hear the law and the words which Jehovah of hosts had sent by his Spirit by the former prophets. Therefore there came great wrath from Jehovah of hosts, and it has come to pass that as he cried, and they would not hear, so they shall cry, and I will not hear, says Jehovah. You see the parallel between what's happening today and what happened then? People are arrogant, prideful, and boastful, and they show their military might where the people of the planet suffer. It has been estimated that the nations of the world forgo their military armaments and spent the money in a different direction, that within 10 years, poverty, hunger, homelessness, and most of the diseases of the earth could be wiped out. You see, it's not that we don't have a great leadership. It's that none of us are great followers of the proper leader. If we followed Christ, who is the true leader, and people did that consistently, then we wouldn't have the problems that our poor leadership today is showing. That's just something to think about.